call the meeting to order. A silent prayer. All right. Roll call, Mrs. Franks?
Mayor Kindle.
Present.
Councilwoman Costantino.
Present.
Councilman Jenny. Not here. Councilwoman Pies.
Present.
Mayor Pro Tem Sawicki.
Here.
Councilwoman Williams.
Present.
Councilman Tucson.
Present.
Acting City Manager Szymanski.
Here.
City Attorney DeWally.
Here.
Okay.
Do we want it? Nope. Okay. Since we're getting no call, no show. All right. All right, then I need a motion to approve the minutes of the regular city council meeting and the beautification commission.
Madam Mayor,
Yes, Councilwoman Sawicki?
I will offer the motion to accept, receive, and file the minutes for the regular city council meeting held April 4th, 2022, and to receive and file the beautification commission meeting minutes held on March 23rd, 2022.
Support.
Discussion?
Madam Mayor?
Yes.
On the beautification commission meeting information, I'm sure that our representatives to the commission will tell us later, but I was curious as to what time the cleanup event is taking place on Saturday.
Can look that up really quick. See, that's happening at 9 a.m. to 11:30 a.m. on April 23rd. They're meeting at City Hall, and they'll be doing City Hall and tell you what.
Okay, so 9 a.m. at City Hall.
Correct.
This Saturday. Okay, very
On the
good. Thank you.
23rd, Yes.
Thank you very much.
Madam Mayor,
Yes,
I'm
Councilwoman?
just slightly confused. It says right at number 2, Friday cleanup on Saturday. So does that mean it's just Saturday only? There's no
It's
Friday
Saturday
cleanup?
only.
Okay,
Friday is Earth Day, that's the reason.
right.
Is there any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. All right. Item D, public comment on agenda items. Public comments on agenda items only. Seeing none, we'll move on to the consent agenda, and I need a resolution.
Madam Mayor,
Yes,
I'll
Council.
offer the resolution to approve the consent agenda items 1 through 8.
Support.
Support by Councilwoman Pies. Discussion?
Madam Mayor?
Yes.
One of the items on this list is Midwest, I believe I don't know if it's Midwest Property or, it deals with carpet cleaning. And I noticed for 21226 Briarstone. And I noticed that the bill is for $7,688. Yes, it's for Midwest Property Maintenance. And in reading the support documents, it sounds as if the total to the carpet cleaning service is for $23,000. And so I'm curious, because it's 3 payments of $7,688. And, I mean, I could buy my whole house carpeting for that amount. And so I'd just like to know what that money is actually for, because it sounds like it's not for carpet cleaning.
Right. Mr. Hinton? Mr. Hinton will be able to explain it.
I was hoping he would be here. Thank you.
I'm sorry the documentation was confusing, but only $7,688. It was not for carpet cleaning. It was for repairing her leaking basement. It was a number of things. It just so happens the company has that name, carpet cleaning. And they did everything but clean the carpet.
All right. That makes it a lot clearer, I guess. Thank you.
Okay.
Are there any further discussion? Seeing none, roll call vote, Mrs. Franks?
Councilwoman Constantino.
Yes.
Councilwoman Pies.
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Sawicki.
Yes.
Councilman Tucson.
Yes.
Councilwoman Williams.
Yes.
Mayor Kindle.
Yes.
Okay, resolution passes.
All right, there's still no old business, so we move on to new business and city manager report.
Mayor and council, item G1, public hearing, continuation of special assessment district. Mayor and council, we will be having a public hearing on Monday to hear public comment and input on the continuation of a special assessment district. I have attached here an information packet for your review outlining the necessity of continuing the special assessment district in order to move forward with levying the 19.75 mills, 9.875 mills for police, and 9.875 mills for fire to defray the cost to continue the maintenance of police and fire protection. For this portion of the agenda, only the standard motions of opening and closing the public meeting will be required. Mayor, a motion is required.
Madam Mayor,
Yes, Councilwoman Pies?
I'll offer the motion to open the public hearing on the continuation of a special assessment district.
Support.
Okay, supported. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, motion carries. The, special assessment
Okay.
town hall is open.
It's open. Council, I could read the packet that I have attached, or I could give a narrative on what exactly this is. This is, I believe, the 8th year that we have assessed this special assessment for our police and for our fire department. In prior years, we were assessing 20 mills. This year, we're shaving it down about a quarter mil. And again, this is so that the city will not lose over $4 million in funding into its yearly annual budget for the operation of police and fire services in the community. And I want to say that if we do not pass this tonight, we would have to make horrible cuts to our police department and to our fire department. It would be required just to balance our budget that at least 14 police officers would be laid off, 3 firefighters would be laid off, civilian aides would be laid off. We'd have to lay off personnel from the Treasury, the Finance Department. The only ones that would probably remain here would be the city clerk and the finance treasurer to essentially hold council meetings and collect taxes. We encourage the council to please pass this assessment. We have relied on this for 8 years, and to keep service levels where they are at, we're asking for a yes vote on this particular assessment district. And with that, I would welcome any comments from the public.
Anyone?
Just a question.
Mr. Hakeem?
Yeah, just, again, John, as far as, I know we've been doing this for 8 years. and
Yes.
The mill has been,
Would you speak in the mic, please,
the,
sir?
the, the number went from
We
what to
can't hear
what?
you.
You said we decreased?
Yes, we decreased.
mill?
We decreased a quarter mil. Yeah, this time we were assessing 20 mills,
Right,
and we are now up at 19.75. Hopefully, with the development going on in the city of Harper Woods, we're gonna be looking to scale this
continue
back.
to keep
Yeah,
coming down.
over a period of time.
Okay. Good, thank you.
You're welcome.
Yes, Mr. Cadet?
I just want to know what the status is with the state on the 15,000 as regard to this 2020 census. How that, has that been resolved or what's the situation with that?
Yes, and to just give a little background information, what's happened with the city of Harper Woods in particular is what Mr. Gadot is referencing is called Public Act 33. And Public Act 33 provided for this legislation to be used with communities that had population of 15,000 residents or less. The latest census figure that came in put our population at 15,492. It took us out of compliance with the law. So what had to happen, I want to say last year, all through last year, we got together, the mayor, the police chief, myself, Maria, we went up to Lansing, and we went up to Lansing with all the police unions, all the police associations, their lobbyists. We met in front of the State House Finance Committee, and we presented our case. And we let them know how this change adversely impact our community. Yeah. And on the first round of votes, they voted 15-0 to pass it for the city of Harper Woods. And it moved from the State House to the State Senate. The governor indicated that she would sign the bill if it came to her desk. And what had happened was the bill in its final form came to the governor's desk and increased the threshold to 15,500. We're at 15,492. We have another 10 years to worry about this problem, but it's law.
Okay, good.
And we're doing it legal.
It's kind of shaving it close.
That was shaving it real close.
Real close.
Yeah.
We don't need 8 more residents. Is there anyone else who would like to speak?
Madam Mayor,
Yes,
is it appropriate for me to ask a
I
question?
was just about to say, open it to council, but yeah, go ahead.
Thank you. I know that we are anticipating additional income once we can start assessing on Eastland and the new owners there. When do you anticipate that we'll be able to start seeing enough revenue coming in from Eastland to compensate for these, this special assessment?
Well, I can't say that the revenue coming in from Eastland is going to 100% make up the difference here. We're talking over $4 million. It will certainly help. It'll certainly help with the redevelopment of Popard with new housing going there. It's certainly going to help with getting the marijuana business up and running in the city and having the commercial property being evaluated at higher amounts. What we would be looking at is to be scaling back this millage rate every year, reassessing, re-examining just how much of it we need, and to scale it back somewhat every single year till we get to what's needed as a normal and customary amount to run the police and fire services.
All right, and if I can ask this question as well, I know that part of, our hands are tied in one regard, and that is as property values increase, we can only increase by 3%, is that correct? 5%?
It's the rate of inflation or 5%, whichever is less.
All right, and have we been able to increase our property values at that higher, are we seeing our property values rise commensurate with,
What's taking place right now is property values on the residential side they're rising. Headley is forcing us to spread those equalization amounts across the entire city so that you realize no more than the rate of inflation or 5%. However, the commercial side has stayed stagnant for so long, and it was in a state of decline. Now with North Point coming in, and with, like I said, some of the other things that we have been talking about, that has slowed down tremendously. It's even stopped. We're seeing that tax appeals don't have the same juice in them that they've had in the past. So that's a good sign. And I want to say, you know, people are buying homes. They're going to be uncapping their property next year. It looks good for the city. We haven't been in this situation for probably 15 years. So it's a very good sign that things are on the mend upward. And again, we will look at this every single year, reevaluate it, and come before the council, you know, with our recommendation.
Thank you.
Okay, Madam Mayor?
Councilwoman Williams?
Yeah, I just had a couple of quick questions. I know you said it was a decrease of 0.25%. So I was wondering what was, it's still gonna be an even split between the fire and police?
That's correct. That's correct.
Okay, because I was trying to see the split, but I didn't see it. I saw 9.75, but I don't think that's,
Yeah, there's 9.875 for the police, 9.875 for the fire department.
okay. And my second question is, what percent, because I know the special assessment is important because it covers a large percentage of the monies that we need to keep our police and fire going. What, do you know what percent that is?
Of revenue from the total budget?
Yeah,
Yeah, it's over 30%, or right around 35%, enormous amount of money. It comes out to about 4.2 million,
okay.
yeah.
Is there any further? Councilwoman?
Okay, so we know that we're decreasing this by 0.25 mils total, between the police and the fire. We know that our, tax assessments are going up 5%. So, so what I'm wondering is, are we at that spot where they're gonna even out with this assessment? Or are our tax bills still gonna be higher than they would have been otherwise?
Well,
that being-
inflation is going to raise taxes anyway. So what we're doing is we're keeping status quo at this point. We're making our bills. These are very uncertain times for local governments, not only in the state of Michigan, but all around the country. And because of the fallout with COVID, because of the fact that people just are not working the way that they used to in the past. All those things are finally hitting home and finding a way into everything that we use. And what we're finding out is because of rising fuel costs, projects are costlier, suppliers are costlier, labor costs are higher. So we have to do things in a much different way going forward than in the past. And we're gonna have some new ways of doing things to present to the council in the near future that are gonna be both money savers and they'll be better for the residents. And council will be able to pick them apart and evaluate it, but this is a first step going in the direction.
Councilman Ivory?
Yes, recently, we just I think used some of our ARC funding to be able to pay for a consultant to kind of review our police and fire department. Have we got any kind of results of that maybe can show us some cost savings in that area or anything?
Well, what the fire services assessment, that report is going to be ready in approximately 2 or 3 weeks. I'm assuming that it's going to come out probably the first week in May. It's It's not going to be a recommendation, I believe. I don't know for certain, but what it's going to show the absolute state of affairs that we're in right now. It's gonna show the condition we're in, the condition of our equipment, how we respond to calls, what the national standards are, by a very, very experienced consulting group. They have did this work on behalf of 600 fire departments across the United States and across the world. They are working in New York City, revamping their fire department there. Very knowledgeable people. We're gonna see what comes out of the report, and it's gonna be up to the city council to steer us in the right direction, so to speak.
All right. Are there any further questions? Yes.
My name's Anthony Sturton, and I've lived here for 50 years in Harper Woods on Huntington. So you mentioned marijuana just now. Business, or can I ask this now at this portion of time?
This is actually a public hearing on Public Act 33. You could certainly
I come back later when you
Come
get
back later on call
Okay.
to the audience.
Okay.
Yeah.
He mentioned possibly from the office, leaving them.
All right, pardon me, everybody, but I couldn't let my director of economics choke to death over there. All right, so is there any further questions? Okay, seeing none, John?
Motion to
We-
close the public
Motion to close the,
meeting.
I need a motion to close,
Madam Mayor,
yes.
I'll offer the motion to close a public hearing on the continuation of special assessment district.
Support.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Motion carries.
Okay, item G2, adopt resolutions, continuation of a special assessment district. Mayor and council, with the public hearing now having been held, it is recommended that the attached resolutions, and there are two of them, be adopted to continue a special assessment district consisting of all the lands and premises within the municipal boundaries of the city of Harper Woods to defray the cost to continue maintenance and operation of police and fire. Mayor, a resolution is required.
Madam Mayor?
Yes, Councilwoman
I'll
Constantine.
offer the resolution to adopt the attached resolutions to continue a special assessment district in the city of Harper Woods.
Support.
Support by Councilwoman Pies. All right, discussion? I think we've already had that. Seeing none, roll call vote, Mrs. Franks?
Councilwoman Pies.
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Sawicki.
Yes.
Councilman Tucson.
Yes.
Councilwoman Williams.
Yes.
Mayor Kindle.
Yes.
Councilwoman Costantino.
Yes.
Okay, resolution passes.
Okay, item G3, adoption of training strategy for 2022. Mayor and council, attached is a training strategy plan that has been created as a best practice as we continue to move through the redevelopment-ready community process. The training plan aims to help identify resources available to our city council, planning commissioners, and zoning board of appeals members to foster a more productive, collaborative, and informed decision-making process, and to keep everyone up to date on potential developments within the city. Stephen Lindley, our Deputy Director of Economic and Community Development, will provide a more detailed look at this plan and answer any questions you might have. I have reviewed this, and it is my recommendation that this development training strategy plan be adopted. Mayor, a motion is required.
Madam Mayor,
Yes, Councilwoman
I'll
Kazicki.
offer the motion to adopt and commit to use the training strategy plan as recommended by the MEDC's Redevelopment Ready Community Program.
Support?
Support.
Support by Councilwoman Constantino. Okay, discussion?
I'd like to hear about it.
Well, we want to hear, we want to hear before we take a vote.
Yeah, or before we
Yeah.
discuss anything.
Okay.
Sure.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Great, thank you for having me. I'm here to share this annual and what will be an ongoing training program that's integral to the city's success as an engaged municipality in the RRC program. So I'm going to briefly reintroduce RRC since it's been almost a year, which seems hard to believe, since you all as a council made the determination to move forward as an engaged community in the process. So I like the language they provide. It's best to thought of as a comprehensive toolkit that assists communities in facilitating a predictable development experience and proactively seeks out redevelopment projects. So you can see that there are 5 best practices identified at the bottom, each with several objectives that make up the larger category. We're pursuing, as the City of Harper Woods, a certified pathway, and I'll go into why that is in just a moment. The guiding principles that the Redevelopment Ready Communities program seeks to do, and I can attest to the value of this, having been actively involved in getting us there. It's proactive, it's collaborative, again, provides a predictable or consistent experience, it's equitable, and it's community-driven. So speaking of communities, and I hope you all in the audience can see this map decently well, you can see that there are quite a few communities involved in the RRC program across the state. There are, this number may actually have changed in the last month, because there are lots of communities like Harper Woods actively moving along the process. 60 certified communities across the state, 2 in the Essentials program, which is quite new, and 240 engaged communities. I do want to draw everyone's attention to the south, to the corner though, to our region. Pretty telling that there's actually only 1 certified community in all of Wayne County, and that is Dearborn. But you see how many red dots there are, or red diamonds there are at the bottom. Lots of communities engaged in the program. What's interesting too for us though is that East Point and Roseville, both certified, as well as several communities within the 8 Mile Boulevard Association that Harper Woods is a part of. Oak Park, Ferndale, and Southfield in that as well. So why participate in RRC as a community? It does offer a locally driven, streamlined development review process. We've actually already seen that kind of play out in some of these projects that you all heard about going on, including Picard. Providing ongoing technical assistance to the community. This training strategy largely developed with a little bit of input from Ty and myself by Elizabeth King, who's our MEDC rep for the region. We're getting close to being in a position to receive that next one that's in yellow, the technical assistance match funding for necessary projects throughout the community. And then also numerous other benefits, and part of the reason why, again, we're going with the certified pathway. Marketing assets and intangible marketing value for the community, ongoing access to MEDC's community development financial tools, community revitalization program, public spaces, brownfield, etc., as well as access to the redevelopment services team, which helps facilitate development projects on priority sites. So here's the standard process. Again, about a year ago, got into engagement, a baseline assessment was completed, council made the decision to move forward with the process, and we are now in the yellow, integrating those missing best practices. I really don't want to gloss over to at the bottom. Some communities have gone from baseline to certification as little as 9 months. Others have been working for over 5 years towards that process. Here's what the baseline, and we can go into the minutia, the details of what those 1.1, 2.4, 3.9, what those are, if anyone has questions about that in a moment. But this is the status in June after that baseline assessment. Here's the status now, March 2022. Some of the work we've been doing over these past several months. So definitely making progress in it. and even a couple more of those yellows and reds are actually green at this point. So again, here are those 5 categories that are touched on: plans and public engagement, zoning, development review, boards and commissions, why we're having this presentation now, economic development and marketing, and the final one of redevelopment ready sites, which is that technical assistance provided through MEDC. So boards and commissions, the outcomes sought after in this best practice are a defined recruitment and training process for local officials, including readily available applications, consistent orientation, clear upfront roles and responsibilities, context-sensitive training strategies, joint meetings between the boards, the development-led boards, and the Planning Commission annual report. So this is a screenshot or a grab of the best practices handbook that MEDC has prepared for the RRC program. And this is, you can email me for a digital copy of this handbook. In fact, anyone here in attendance can certainly email me for this handbook. It's also available on their website. And you can see how these are laid out in terms of us satisfying those different best practices. So in February of this year, a survey was sent to members of council, the Planning Commission, and the Zoning Board of Appeals. 16 out of 19 responses were received, though it was 16 out of 18 because there is one individual who was on both the Planning Commission and the ZBA. So 13 questions were asked of you all related to planning, zoning, and economic development. And here's what came out of it. Everybody said they would like to annually attend at least one training, conference, or event. Popular resources that were highlighted were speakers, fact sheets, webinars, articles, and resource guides. 94% are willing to attend a joint meeting or training, and that's good because it's required. And some of the best practices and the urban planning topics that were highlighted in your responses were talking about zoning, master planning, community engagement, economic development, and then some planning topics like complete streets, pedestrian-oriented design, site plans, reviews, variances, municipal finance, green infrastructure, and housing. And the goal of this, the why, is expanding the city's toolbox of training to include new methods and resources and meet those established training hours for each board. The goal of that is 6 hours spread out across the entire year for council. Tie those training activities to establish local goals and needs, and enhance the board and commission's knowledge, increase the board and commission's knowledge for enhanced community outcomes. So we're really focusing this year, and on the training strategy you all received in your email, we're really focusing through, and a lot of those free trainings, because this is our first year really pursuing this, there's a lot of material out there. We also can seek out, and there's opportunities all the time for scholarships to MML events, to Michigan Association of Planning events, numerous things. Even an interesting thing that was new to me was that the city's insurance provider may even offer some funds for training because knowledge is power in this instance. And there's also opportunities for additional types of state support to pursue these goals. So the goal and sort of how we intend to do it, how as staff we discussed moving forward with this. I'll actually get into that in the next slide. But the goal is that we're right on track as far as the 2022 plan, and reassess, go through these steps that you see to the right next year. We'll assess how this year of training went, take another survey, update the strategy with some new material, new topics, review it again throughout March, and then in April of the following year, ask you to adopt again the next strategy, the next year of training. So again, this is just another screen grab or a snap of what that training strategy looks like. And certainly email again too if it got lost in your email. But we can also likely post this on the website. I think that would be a great resource to share with the community. So there will be 2 articles on a single topic, as is the case here, as you see, for May 2022, or 2 separate topics of each month. Staff, we've discussed and envisioned taking 30 minutes prior to one of the regularly scheduled council meetings to discuss these topics or to discuss the topic or topics for that month. You all have access to all these documents that we'll discuss and numerous other resources in the training program. You don't have the opportunity to access them beforehand, though. The PDFs or links, if it happens to be a video or a webinar or something, of that month's training materials will be included in the email that you'll receive with the agenda from the city clerk. So here's an example of what the ZBA is, as mentioned, ZBA is also participating. They don't meet monthly, but at minimum, they will be meeting quarterly, which they were eager to hear and excited to play a role, even if there aren't necessarily variances or special land use things coming before that board. So we get the ZBA involved as well. And these are just some examples. These next couple of slides are just some examples of the different resources and sources that we'll be using for this training. So information straight from MEDC, AARP, if anyone's not familiar, has incredible resources, lots of fact sheets and one-pagers, all kinds of other resources from different states and different nonprofits in terms of planning. And then just sort of our next steps to start implementing and really all of us learning from this training strategy. At some point, maybe in the next few months, plan a time for the joint media training. Behind the scenes, we are working on these master plan and zoning updates in this conversation, and then get into that annual training strategy update. As needed, we may ask for continued support and get to the missing, get to that finish line for the completion of the best practices, and then achieve that RRC certification. Just some final resources. One thing to mention is that there's I believe it's offered 3 or 4 times a year, an online training for RRC that's open to any staff member or official in the state of Michigan. Offered 1 night a week, I believe, for 11 or 12 sessions, taught by members of this RRC team and various people who work for MEDC. Incredibly valuable information. And one of the most powerful things, too, is that you interact with people from municipalities all over the state, big and small, who are also participating. The cohort that I was in, the mayor of Crystal Park was there. There was someone from Dearborn, someone from Inkster. A lot of valuable knowledge to be shared across different municipalities. Lots of information as well from the RRC library. So that's what I have for you, and I'm happy to again, I'm happy to go into any detail or answer any questions that you have.
Well, thank you very much. Very informative. All right. Are there any further discussions?
Yes, Madam Mayor. Questions to him, it's all right.
What did you say?
Yeah, so I was wondering, when would the training, I see you want to start the training program this year in 2022. So I was wondering, when would our training begin? I saw in the slide, I saw May 2022, then I also saw some other dates. And so I was wondering, when was the?
Next month. In order to get credit for adopting it, we need to get started on it. So the hope would be, and we discussed again as staff for you all to determine. I know certain months you only meet for one, you only meet once a month. So obviously those months are determined, but up to you all to decide if we want it to be the first council meeting of the month, or the second meeting of the month in terms of when that would be. But the goal again would be to meet likely in council chambers. Again, the public is invited. Starting at, I think we said 6:15 or so. Again, just go for about half an hour, share what we learned from it. Maybe I'll come up with a set of questions beforehand so we have some discussion topics and things that glean from it. So yeah, starting next month.
Okay.
Madam Mayor,
Yes.
is there any option to do it on a night other than a council meeting night?
I would believe so.
Yes, if needed, we'll work around it, because this is required as part of the certification process. And again, it's to educate the council, the planning commission, anybody that's making decisions on redevelopment in the city. We're also will be eligible for more grant funding, things of that nature.
I just want to throw it out. I mean, I know we want to start in May, which is fine, but at least for me, my circumstances, if we could meet at 7 PM on another evening besides the council meeting evening, I would find that a lot more convenient. But, you know, I'll go with whatever the group decides as a whole.
Okay, we'll take that all under advisement.
Can we talk about it now, or do you, I mean, would,
Sure.
Sure, go ahead.
Yeah.
does anyone else want to ask about that or talk about
Well,
it?
I mean, it would be easier for me to do it on the night of a council meeting, because I have a lot of different types of meetings and different responsibilities, so, it'd be kind of difficult to, throw in another night, or, I guess it may be certain nights are better than others, but,
Well,
I also, my actual question though was, is any of this gonna be in conjunction with like Michigan Municipal League, or is this all just through the MEDC?
it's
I
true.
mean, some of the training resources are coming through MML, but this is a directive, this is part of the MEDC's
Right.
RRC program.
And this is for our certification, so that's who we need to be certified through, not MML. We need to be
Right.
certified through them.
Well, it's just that they have a lot of resources,
For sure.
so rather than reinventing the wheel, but you already answered the question.
And they're referenced.
We are using some of the
Yes.
resources.
Yes, of course, they all work in conjunction.
Any choice of doing it on nights, like still keeping it on the Monday, but the off meeting night,
That could work.
if we, just throw that out, so that it's still Monday.
I
but it's-
understand, your dilemma, and so, for those of us, I mean, if no one really has any real objection, I think, 7 o'clock on an off Monday would
Depends
work.
on which off Monday, I have a lot of other meetings.
Well,
In
we
other words,
can't
Second
accommodate,
Monday would be okay, I
in
can't
May
do
it would
the
be
Monday.
the 9th and the 23rd.
I
I
can't do the
don't.
23rd, but I can do
Okay.
the 9th.
okay, well, then I guess we'll have to settle this through email. I'm not gonna spend a whole lot of time going back and forth with this on
Is
on
it
this
possible
time.
to offer it twice and then you could choose which one
We-
you wanna do?
No, that
No,
wouldn't be fair.
it's what the majority, so we will do whatever the majority, we'll try to be sensitive to, and I understand your needs and what it is, so, we'll try to make sure that we can accommodate you as well as everyone else, but
I'll go
we'll
with,
do it through email, John?
Yes.
thank you.
Okay. All right, is there any further discussion? Yes?
Is there anything that we need to do in preparation for it, or?
Absolutely. The goal of this is not to send you home with things that someone who went to planning school has to digest, a 40-page document or something, or really in the weeds. So and again, the benefit of having it provided to us, having Elizabeth from NEDC really formulate this year's, is that the material is really readable. It's enjoyable, it's stuff that lends itself to discussion. So you'll see that for each month, there's typically one or two links in that training strategy. And I can email that out again. And like I said, I think it would be good to post it on the website. But there will be links to it. So you'll have access to those links at any time. Again, same thing for anyone in the community. And also, when Leslie emails the agenda, we'll download those PDFs and send them as PDFs. Or again, if it's a link to a webinar or some kind of video, then we'll put that link in the video too. So you'll have that, the very latest, you'll have it, 3 days before council, days before we discuss it, so.
Okay, just wanna make sure I get it, cause I'm one that
Excuse you.
always gets left
Excuse
out,
you.
so.
Excuse you.
Oh, excuse me, I'm sorry, I didn't know I was
No.
finished. I didn't think I was finished.
Okay, all right. Okay. Are there any further discussion? All right, seeing none, this is a motion or resolution? Roll call.
Motion.
Motion. All in favor?
Aye.
Is there anyone opposed? Motion carries. All right.
Okay.
Thank you very much, Steve.
Thank you, Stephen. Thanks, Ty.
Thanks, Ty.
Item G4, Milk River Operation and Maintenance. Mayor and council, attached is an invoice from Wayne County for operation and maintenance of the Milk River Drain for April to June 2022. This is in accordance with the budget amounts set by the Drainage District. It is recommended that this payment be approved. Mayor, a resolution is required.
Madam Mayor,
Yes, Councilwoman Pies.
I'll offer the resolution to approve payment to Wayne County in the amount of $250,668.75 for the operation and maintenance of the Milk River Drain for April to June 2022.
Support. Support by Councilwoman Williams. Discussion.
Madam Mayor,
Yes.
perhaps our DPW person could answer this, or I don't know you. What's the percentage of it that Harper Woods pays? What's our percentage and all of the percentages that there are?
Okay, well, it all depends on what we're talking about. If we're talking about debt, okay, on the 2016 bond issue for the Milk River Drain District, I believe our share is 14.81. And for the 2020 bond issue, the completion bonds, our percentage is 64.11, and the reason it's 64.11 is because some of the member communities, Grosse Pointe Woods in particular, they prepaid. I want to say some of the outstanding amounts that we bonded for. We did not prepay that, they did. So our share is a little bit different there. As far as on the board itself, I believe that our factor percentage is 45.11. So different percentage for different things.
Thank you.
Is there any further? Yes, Councilwoman Sawicki.
Yes, on April 4th, Senator Hollier was here, and as part of his presentation, he talked about money that the state was getting and using toward water supplemental, toward cleaning up some water issues in communities. And one of our residents that evening even asked, could some of that money be directed toward what we've already done here? You know, they're paying for other communities to basically do what we were proactive in taking care of. And I'm just curious whether, you know, the Milk River Drain has appealed to the state to help pay for some of this extraordinary cost.
The state is part of the board. So, you know, to that extent, we haven't heard anything, you know, as far as, I want to say ARPA money or any kind of bailout money coming to help us. These are operation and maintenance charges, you know, on the drain. They're approximately $1 million a year. Our principal and interest payments are approximately another 1.1 million. And, you know, it's bore entirely by us and the member communities. I have not heard of any infusion of money, you know, from the state.
Well, I can see where we might need to pay for, you know, the operation and maintenance, but there was a lot of extra work that went into that.
Yes.
And that's above and beyond this, you know, the million that we pay for operation and maintenance. Then I'd like to see if the state could step up and give a hand to our communities where we you know, put the money
Yeah.
in and did the work that prevented worse damage from our storms.
Yes, I want to say the completion bonds, that money was to prop up, or I should say, rehab facilities on the Milk River Drain, the pumping stations in particular, that have been neglected for years and years and years. And when they started boring into the soil And I want to say laying out a new foundation, they found out that the ground was unstable and it was sinking. So, you know, there were just a lot of costs that no one could anticipate, and that's why that $6 million bond issue was issued. And again, you know, the state is part of the board. I would love to see a state come with some money, but so far, nobody has come forth.
Well, can we reach out to our, the people that represent us on
Sure,
this board? And
sure,
say, hey,
I-
let's find out, let's push the state a little on this?
Sure, we can reach out.
I appreciate it, thank you.
Okay.
Is there any further discussions? Okay, roll call vote?
Councilwoman Pies,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Sawicki.
Yes.
Councilman Tucson.
Yes.
Councilwoman Williams.
Yes.
Mayor Kindle.
Yes,
Councilwoman Costantino.
Yes.
Okay, resolution passes.
all right.
Okay, item G5, purchases, Life Pack monitor, Lucas monitor, and AED machine. Mayor and council, attached is a memorandum from the Director of Public Safety requesting approval to purchase life-saving equipment for the fire department's engine number 1. The first item is a Life Pack monitor defibrillator to replace the outdated model we currently have in use. The second item is the Lucas chest compression system. The firefighters, paramedics have had an opportunity to have one on loan, and their feedback on its use is very positive. Lastly, an AED device is needed for Engine 2 to keep it compliant with its BLS status. I have reviewed this with Director Hamley, and I concur with his recommendation that these much-needed purchases be approved. ARPA funds will be used for this purchase, by the way, and Mayor, a resolution is required.
Madam Mayor,
Yes, Councilwoman Pies.
I'll offer by resolution to approve the purchase of one Stryker Life Pack monitor, one Lucas chest compression system, and one AED device from Stryker Medical in the amount of $49,104.87.
Support. Support by Councilwoman Williams. Discussion?
Madam Mayor?
Yes.
I'm just curious, I know that, the defibrillator and all of this is obviously very important. I know that we have, it's kind of like, I would think, a backup to the ambulance system that we already use here. But what I'm curious about is, do we have anything similar to this located within City Hall, or the courtroom? Because I know that, as a teacher, I know that schools had been getting in the defibrillators and this sort of thing, putting them in public spaces like their gymnasiums. Do we have that equipment available in City Hall in the courtroom?
You know what, I don't think so, but I'm not certain. I will ask the director and get back with you.
Chief,
Sure, sure. Could you step up to the mic?
Hello, Lieutenant Melnick with the Fire Department. To answer the question of the AED, there should be an AED out in the hallway here. The difference of that one versus the one that is on the proposal, the AED on the proposal, it's a newer version. You could put these anywhere in the city, this new version. And from what the rep at Stryker told me is, once that's being used, that data goes right to the new monitor that we're getting. So if there's shocks being delivered in a city building on Kelly, we're going to get that info automatically into our monitor system. So it's by far a better system that's currently in use, and they're pushing it throughout many communities to spread it out, get businesses on board to have AEDs around the community. So it is a big community effort that they want to start pushing these AEDs out. Currently, our engine 2 would have our old monitor to keep it as ALS, and that was one of the things that we, in order to do some cost savings, was to just put an AED on that, and when we do put that into full service, we transfer all of the ALS equipment over, so that instead of spending $37,000 or whatever it is for a second monitor, we're just going to transfer that over, and then it upgrades our ALS status on that engine when it goes in service. So upgrading the AEDs, I'd love to see them in police cars. I'd love to see them around the building, Parks and Rec building, the schools. So if it all depends on how much how big we want to make it. So it's beneficial. Like I said, it alerts, and I'm not the professional to talk on it so much, but as the striker rep would be able to go over a lot more detail of it, but I think the purchase of more would be more beneficial.
If I may, the unit that we have available to City Hall in the court system in the hallway, that is still
The
up to
old
date,
version.
so to speak?
It is still up to date. It still works. It's still, from what we know of, everything works on it. We go through and make sure the pads aren't expired and so forth. I'm not the one that personally takes care of it. I just know it's here. And I think the city actually has two, because I think there's one in the library as well, if I'm not mistaken.
Okay. I just wanted to make sure, I mean, we have a lot of people that use our facilities here.
Right.
And I want to make certain that, our safety measures are up to.
Yeah, and I know I would probably say that's the one out here and over there is probably within the last 5 years, because in the 7 or 8 years I've been here, those were installed, so.
Okay, thank you.
Mhm.
And just to make sure that that's what saved our former mayor's life, was, being able to have access to that defibrillator at the church when he passed out, so.
Yeah.
It's life-saving, and it's.
The AEDs are life-saving. The new monitor, our current monitor is great. Basically, we'll be going from the version 1 to a version 4 of that monitor. Has a few more capabilities, but it's a monitor that we are used to as opposed to going with another company. So all of us that have 20+ years of EMS experience, trying to use a new monitor at 4 a.m., probably not the best thing to do, but if we can pull out a new monitor that looks the same, has all the same buttons, and pull it out at 4 a.m., it's the same thing that we've used for like I said, all 20+ year medics out there. So the chest compression device, we've had it on loan for the past 3 months, 4 months now. Initially the striker rep had said, if you don't use it, let me know, I'll let you have it for 3 more months on top of that. Within the first week, almost everybody on the department used it. And we all have said, in, like I said, 20 years for each of us, and we have never seen a result like this. We could probably, my 14 years of EMS before here, I could probably count on one hand how many saves I've had. And we went from probably 1% saves over a year's period to 80% saves in the 3 months that we used it. So the thing is remarkable.
Very good. Thank you.
Well, thank you so much. Is there any further discussion?
Madam Mayor,
Yes.
I just wondered, what was the difference between the LifePak monitor and the Lucas monitor? Because I see we're asked to purchase one of each.
So the LifePak is a cardiac monitor. It's if we're going to analyze your heart rhythm, we're going to hook you up to the cardiac monitor, the life pack monitor. We'll be able to analyze your cardiac rhythm, be able to deliver shocks, check your vital signs, basically do anything cardiac-wise with that monitor. The Lucas is a chest compression device, so it's basically an automatic CPR system. It's a device that I'm going to put over you, being in cardiac arrest. Is there's a suction cup that comes down to your chest with a plunger system, and it delivers a measured compression. It's perfect depth, perfect timing. It never tires, whereas any lay person or any trained person that I put on the chest, they're going to tire over so much time and rotating out. There's pauses in between. There's pauses of moving someone. I can put this on the person, set their compressions, and they're getting a CPR compression over and over and over until I tell it to stop, until I push the button to pause. So that's the difference between the two. So one is so that we can read the heart rhythms and deliver shocks if necessary. The other one is my set of hands to do the chest compressions.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
All right, any further discussion? Okay, roll call vote?
Mayor Pro Tem Sawicki.
Yes.
Councilman Tucson.
Yes.
Councilwoman Williams.
Yes.
Mayor Kindle.
Yes.
Councilwoman Costantino.
Yes.
And Councilwoman Pies.
Yes.
Okay, resolution passes.
Mayor and council, that concludes the city manager's reports.
All right. All right, we had, called the audience. You have 3 minutes or less. And, start off with identifying yourself and come up to the mic.
My name is McLaughlin, and I live on Damon.
I can't hear you.
My name is McLaughlin, and I live on Damon.
Okay.
Can you hear me? Because I have on my
I
mask.
understand.
Okay. I have a question. In Wayne County, are we supposed to help Southeast Michigan pay for Highland Park water bills? I tried to get that answered, but I was referred to the council to bring it up at council. Because I just recently heard on the news a couple of weeks ago, Oakland County and Macomb County was having a problem with that. And they decided, okay, maybe we'll put some money aside, try and get this resoluted. And I'm like, well, where's Wayne County? We're in Southeast Michigan. So I called our office here, and they said, well, why don't you bring it up? We don't know anything about it. I said, so we're not paying for it in our water bills now? They said, no. I said, okay, I'm going to go to city council. So that's my question.
Okay, I believe years back that there was a court case on that very issue, and if memory serves me, that it was determined at the time that Highland Park, for whatever reason, was overcharged. And and again, I'm not an expert, on this litigation or anything, but I believe that was the basis of extending these credits. Now, I'm not 100% sure on that, but this is going back years, and I believe that the basis of the lawsuit was that they were overcharged. And somehow, and don't ask me the formula that's being used to correct this, but I believe that was the original basis of the
Okay.
lawsuit.
So it hasn't been settled then, right?
Well, I mean, some of the counties are, they have issues with it.
Okay.
And they're raising those issues because what's happening right now is Great Lakes Water Authority is reopening up some of the contracts, and we're gonna be part of that process too, to get our fair share of the credits that are available to the community. But I believe that that is the basis of the original argument.
And also that they stopped Highland Park from processing, you know, when the state taken over.
Yeah, there's a lot, you know, they had an emergency manager, you know, type of government in there.
Okay.
There's just a lot of particulars, you know, that's my understanding of it, though.
Now, I tried to reach Commissioner Kylene, and I couldn't get any answer. I never got a call back. So I wanted to know, how do we get any information? I mean, I don't want to be held responsible for somebody else's water. I'm retired on a fixed income, you know, but that's one of my questions.
Okay.
Another question I had was Milk River, because my backyard floods a little bit. And when I bought my home 19 years ago, I knew nothing about, you know, the swamp, and I didn't even think about Harper Woods, right? So I'm like, where's Milk River? Does it run underneath Harper Woods? Where is it? Because I'm tired of this backyard every spring and summer.
Milk River is a retention basin.
Okay.
It's about the size of Ford Field.
Okay.
Okay, and what it does is it's there to collect, I want to say,
All the water.
all the water from the 100-year rains that we have been having. And what happens is that water is collected, it is treated, okay, the stormwater is treated, along with the sanitation, every drop of the water.
Okay.
Okay, and then when it's ready, it's discharged back into Lake St. Clair. And by the way, that portion of the lake and where it connects with the Detroit River feeds right into the Detroit water plant, our water plant.
Okay.
So Detroit's water, I want to say, reaches out almost all the way out to Port Huron.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, people, you know, buy their water, they pump their water, they have it elevated to their communities. We purchase our water from Great Lakes Water Authority. A lot of people, they come up and they tell us, well, why can't you produce your own water? Why can't you pump your own water? We don't have the capacity, we don't have that kind of facility. We buy it from Detroit. We're a small user at the tail end of a big producer.
I just wanted to know if the river went under Harper Woods.
No, it's
But
serving
it's a retention. Okay.
several different communities. It's actually keeping your basement from flooding, okay,
Oh,
and having
good.
sewage. That's primarily, you know, and it's doing its job, and we got a whole issue tonight on that, as a matter of fact.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Yes, sir.
Hello again. Somebody mentioned marijuana, a business starting.
Name, please.
Oh, sorry, Anthony Sturton, Sturton. I live on Harper Woods. You mentioned something about marijuana, a business starting. Could you give us more information, please?
Okay. Yes. What's happened is the city has passed an ordinance to allow certain types of marijuana business in the city. I want to say that it's divided up between medical and recreational. We've passed a recreational ordinance, and we're in the process now of establishing a committee to look at best practices the types of marijuana businesses we want. There are many other businesses associated with marijuana besides dispensaries. You have grow operations, you have transportations, you have laboratories that do testing, you have warehouses that warehouse the supplies. We're looking to get into that market on the recreational side, simply because it allows the local community, meaning us, to control what comes in the community, and also to levy taxes and fees, okay, on those establishments which we will put back into the community as services, recreational services for our children, police and fire equipment, a combination of all the above.
What about the schools? Presumably you're talking Hudson's area.
No, what's got to happen first is we form a committee. The committee is going to decide what zones these type of businesses can reside in, what and how many of these businesses can reside in the community, and yes, look into things like traffic patterns throughout the city streets, throughout the neighborhoods, where they're located, by schools, by churches, by wherever. And again, the emphasis here is not on dispensaries. It's in other industries related to the industries, so that we could have some major investments come into the commercial buildings in the community. And I want to say pay taxes on those buildings. And the city would recoup money in inspection fees. There's a whole host of work that goes into these buildings. You'll see a dilapidated building, and then you'll see that same building with $5 million invested in it, or $20 million invested. It's a big difference there.
Great. Can I ask another question? What else is happening at Hudson's, or what was there? What else is going to be built there?
That's going to be a logistics warehouse and shipping center. In other words, everything that was sold at that mall and more will be distributed from that area. It's going to work like, I want to say, are you familiar with Amazon?
Yes.
Okay. What they're going to do is they're going to be shipping products out of that location to wherever they need to go. There's going to be a multitude of...
The distribution center,
yes,
in other words.
Yes, absolutely.
One or two?
A what?
One or two distribution centers?
Oh, it's going to be, there's going to be 3 buildings there. It's going to take the whole entire mall area.
And so is Beaconsfield going to be a road that they would enter on?
No. And this is where everybody kind of gets it wrong, okay? Beaconsfield, what's going to happen, there's going to be some access, okay, off of Beaconsfield, yes, by Lowe's area, but certainly not trucks driving down Beaconsfield, going to Moross. As a matter of fact, those big trucks can't even turn around when you get to Moross, because the turnaround isn't big enough for them. And we will have police officers right there giving out $1,000 fines to the trucks. And the truck drivers can talk about that on the shipping docks. We feel that there's not going to be any trucks coming down there.
Okay, great. Thank you very much. Thank you for listening to me.
Is there anyone else in the audience that wants, Mr. Cadet?
Although the weather may not look like it, but it hopefully will be warm pretty soon. And this brings up the issue of these backyard parties that were a big problem in my neighborhood last summer during the warmer months, where we had probably in excess of 25 people in a backyard setting with very loud music, heavy bass, going from 4 o'clock in the afternoon, and some of them went to 1 o'clock in the morning. So 8 or 9 hours of continually loud, heavy rhythmic bass, and some of the music had lyrics which I would consider inappropriate at best. And so we need to get control on this. Why should one home or residence be able to make life kind of hard for blocks around? And so it's very hard to concentrate, or people that have to get up in the morning, and you have this loud music going to 1 o'clock in the morning. And so I don't think, if we want Harper Woods to be a peaceful and quiet and enjoyable community, I don't think we can have this kind of activity. If you want to have these kinds of activities, you can rent a hall. And so this is not, and some of them, they have professional DJs, controlling the music. So this seems to be completely out of character for a residential neighborhood. And I know the city of Detroit has recently passed some very strict noise ordinances, and this is not prohibited anymore in the city of Detroit. And so I don't think Harper Woods should have it either. And not only that, to make things kind of aggravating is the fact that some of these homes are apparently just rented out for this particular occasion. And so I know of one or two that nobody is currently, well, when the parties were last summer, when these parties were in progress, there were no permanent residents in those homes. So I don't know whether they were rented out for just a party or what the situation was. But after the end of the party, nobody's there for living there. So, so this is another problem. Yeah. So I would hope that we could do something about not having blocks and blocks of people have to put up with loud music and inappropriate lyrics for hours on end, and then going into 1 or 2 o'clock in the morning. Okay, thank you.
Thank you. All right, is there anyone else? No? Yes.
Good evening, Council. John Shenburn. Everybody says how long they've been here. I'm 70 years old. That's how long I've been in Harper Woods. I live on Roscommon. And the lady's talking, of course, about Airbnb, and the gentleman about Airbnbs. But I have a couple of questions. And first of all, the person that everybody needs to get a hold of, including City Council, is Debbie Stabenow. She's the one that got all that money to go to the drainage systems here in Michigan. So everybody should be contacting Debbie Stabenow and say, hey, they said that way and that way. How come we're not getting some of that? Because we're already having a problem. Okay. And actually, the water system goes all the way up to Harbor Beach, way past Port Huron. The other thing is, I have a question on our police vehicles. Are we still sending those to auction, or are we selling those ourselves? And the reason I ask that is because the market on vehicles is so tight right now, used vehicles, we should be selling those ourselves and recouping money.
We're recycling them and using them within the city. We're, as police vehicles go out of service, they may be used by the DPW, they may be used by the parks, they may be used by another department, where they're driven primarily in the city until we can't drive them anymore.
Okay, well, at least, because I know we used to send them to auction there for a while, and we weren't getting
We
any.
still do, but we're keeping the cars. We're recycling.
Well,
where we
even,
can.
even if they're at a point where they get 200,000 miles on them, we maintain them so well that the used car lots will buy these things up and pay good money for them. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else in the audience that'd like to speak? Seeing none? All right, then, let's start with you, Councilwoman Williams.
Okay, thank you, Madam Mayor. Okay, I had three comments. One was about the complaints for the backyard parties and the noise. I know we do have a noise ordinance so that they can't be, there's a certain time that they have to stop the parties at night. I'm not sure whether it was 11 o'clock or 12 o'clock, but 11 o'clock. But I remember from an earlier council meeting that residents have to complain in order for the police to come out, because they have to have that complaint. So if that's happening in your area, you have to make that complaint to the police department for them to act upon it. They have to have that resident complaint in. The other two things was, this actually was on page 65 when we were talking about the special assessment. I think 2 council meetings previous to this, I had heard something about bringing in the sheriff's department to assist with our policing.
Excuse me?
Sheriff's
The
Department.
sheriff's department? Helping with our
sheriff
police
department?
force, yes. And it's also on page 65 in our packet. So I know we just did the mills for police and fire. And I was reading on page 65, about the expenses that would be. I was wondering what came of that.
Okay, and I know what you're referring to. What, in the packet, what that referred to was if we had to contract out for police services, that it would not be beneficial for the community. We'd have to contract out with Wayne County Sheriff's Department. What that would do is they are not cross-trained as firefighters like our police officers or some of our police officers are. So there would have to be an uptick in hiring on the fire services side, which we wouldn't have any kind of savings. There wouldn't be any kind of savings in that kind of scenario, and we would be getting less service. They would be sharing services with, I want to say, Highland Park and Hamtramck and the city of Harper Woods. You might have a supervisor that's in any one of those communities handle police work down here. It wouldn't be a beneficial arrangement for the city of Harper Woods. That's what that page referred to.
Okay,
Yeah.
all right. And the other thing, about ARPA funds and also our RRC, possible funds. I was wondering if like, as residents, we still have those sidewalks in front of our houses where the trees have uprooted the sidewalks. And I know it says that residents are supposed to pay for that, but if we have some funds available, it would be nice to help residents replace those sidewalks and not have to take the entire burden on themselves, especially when the trees are actually on the city tree line, and that's what's pulling up the sidewalks. So I don't know if we have funds, ARPA funds, or funds from RRC, but I'm hoping that maybe some might be allocated to that, or a program started that could help residents offset that cost.
Okay.
That's it.
Okay. Councilwoman Pies?
I just wanted to announce again the April 23rd Earth Day cleanup that's being put on by the Beautification Commission. That'll be meeting at 9 a.m. here at City Hall on April 23rd, Saturday. Earth Day is the Friday previous to that. Also about this water thing with Highland Park, I just looked up a news article from 2021 here. And it's saying that the Great Lakes Water Authority has filed suit against the state of Michigan, actually for seeking payment for nearly 9 years' worth of water service that the authority of its predecessor provided to the city of Highland Park. So that would have been the Detroit Water and Sewage Department. And it said Highland Park was forced by the state in 2012 to close its potable water facility, and it owes at least almost $10 million in unpaid services to Metro Detroit Water Authority, according to the complaint that was filed. It said after shuttering Highland Park's water facility in 2012, the state directed the Detroit Water and Sewage Department, later Great Lakes Water Authority, to continue providing that water. 9 years into the agreement, neither the state nor Highland Park has paid for the water, and the city has no means of providing its own water again in the foreseeable future. So, so yeah, basically all the other cities in this are picking up the slack. Well, that's part of the problem with, with the suit here, is that they're alleging that the state hasn't paid for it, because that's why the rest of us cities are doing what we're doing. My understanding is that St. Clair Shores, I think, and another city in Oakland County, I'm not sure, have decided to put monies into escrow, or they're thinking about doing an escrow account. Yeah, yeah.
Oakland County and Macomb was putting money in escrow.
Right.
But they were detesting, why do they have to pay?
Right.
For this 10-year bid,
Right.
you
Well,
know, $10 million and over 10 years.
Well, that's why, and that's
Okay.
why they said that they had to do it, and that's why it's in court now, I guess, so. Anyway, that's really all I had to say, was just that.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Councilwoman Sawicki.
Yes, I guess I could piggyback on that information, and just saying that the way that we pay it is through the bill that we get from the GLWA, the Great Lakes Water Authority, because they are mandated to pick up that cost. And that's why there's a lawsuit right now that's being fought over that, because the state has required GLWA to pay this outstanding bill. And that's why they're suing the state on that. So hopefully they'll prevail and won't have to pay for that any longer. I also wanted to refer to another comment that Mr. Kadat mentioned when he talked about houses that are being used, presumably, I think he's talking about Airbnb houses, renting out to people having parties. And we did pass an ordinance earlier this year that prohibited Airbnbs from being used for the purpose of having a party. And so if you notice something going on, say something, because that's the only way that we'll be able to prevent it from happening. So it does kind of rest on the shoulders of our residents to complain about noise, because by law, the police cannot go into a situation and say something is too loud. By law, they cannot determine noise, a noise issue. It has to be a complaint from the community. All right, so just to be aware of that. And that's basically it.
All right. Councilman Toussaint?
I hope everybody had a happy Easter.
Okay, thank you. Councilwoman Constantino?
This Thursday is the Crime Reduction Law Enforcement Task Force meeting at 7 p.m. So if you need information for the location, we'd like to invite the public to come, but it'll be on Van Antwerp across from Blue Part Elementary, but I can give you specific address if you're interested in attending.
Is there anything? Is that it?
Yes.
Okay, great. We're snapping this up real quick tonight, guys. Anyway, I just wanted to mention that Eastland is moving forward, and that's a plus for us as a community. It will not be an explosion, It will be, it will be a slow tear down, but we're looking forward to a ribbon cutting sometime in July. By that time, everything should be demolished, and we will be moving forward. Yeah, thanks. And we have a new business in town, and, well, they've been in operations for maybe about 6 months or a little bit better. It's called the Taco Bar, and they're going to have on May 5th a Cinco de Mayo's celebration on their back parking lot and stuff. And so we will give you more information. We'll make sure that it's posted on the website when we get the information on Kelly Road.
Oh.
And they're located on Kelly. Excuse me? Roscommon and Woodside. Yeah, I've enjoyed going there. I like the food. It's clean. It's a great facility, and I do like the food. I could say that again, especially my Kentucky. But anyway, I just want, it's a new business, and this is the way he wants to introduce himself to the community. So look forward to the information coming out in the future. And with that saying, and Mr. Jennings is not here.
We still got closed session.
Oh, that's right.
Yes.
I forgot. We have other business. We have a closed session. And if you'd like to stay, you can stay until we come out of the closed section. But that's when we will adjourn. So right now, we are adjourning for the closed session. So I need a motion.
Madam Mayor,
Yes.
I'll offer the motion to move the council into a closed session regarding stormwater litigation.
Support.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Motion carries. All right.